Hello everyone, Specter here and welcome to Star Citizen. Today we're going to take a look at this Origin 400i. So the 400i, according to CIG, is a pathfinder that can compete with the Constellation series of ships. So before I talk more about it, let's get to it first. At the front you can see there are two buttons. The left hand side is for you to access to the bike bay, and so-called bike bay was supposed to designed for players to house the Origin X1 series of hover bike, but currently that bike is not available, so people will try to put a Nox on it. But if I were you, I won't try it because, well, the Nox got some bug that will bump around on your ship. And very unfortunate, the places that you can spawn those Nox would be in the armistice zone. So the chaotic thing that the Nox will cause to your ship will be treated as kind of like damaging the ship, which will give you the crime stat. So do not do that. And the right hand side is a ramp for you to access to the ship. But currently we're not going to use it, so we just ignore it. You can see here is a stock weapons that when you buy this ship, this weapon would be come up with a gimbal size 3 laser repeaters. You got 2 of them. And these are the only weapons for the pilot to control, along with those missiles. But anyway, you can change them into fixed size 4 weaponries. But since this ship is quite big and not very agile, I will keep those gimbal size 3 just in case. Over here is an airlock. And you can see there's a remote size 3 turret, and these are size 3 laser repeaters. Over here you got a button for you to call the elevator to access to the cargo bay. The size, it seems like you can house a mining rock inside of it. Also, this thing can house 42 SC of cargoes. And let's move on. Technically, the right hand side of the ship is the same as the left hand side except for the airlock. So, let's get inside of the ship first. To close it, you need to press the bottom button, which will close it. And you got a gravity generator in here. And you got a weapon lock, a locker. And also some other lockers for you to put your armor when they are physicalized. But currently, you can do all of these simply just simply pressing an I to do that. Which makes these things so it's not going to work well, or maybe it's not useful. Over here you can see an airlock button. So let's get to the technical bay. So this area, of course, is house a lot of components, like life supports, or maybe like some radar or something like that. Maybe shield generators as well. So these kind of design is very good, as you can just simply fix those things inside of a ship, except for like floating outside of the ship. And now over here is cargo bay, which we saw it. And you can open these things to access to your ship components as well as your escape pods. Now you can press these buttons to open the door, but doesn't mean that it works, since escape pods is not going to work right now. So, well, just telling you guys. So this one again, ship components and escape pods, as well as that one. So let's go to the bridge. In order to go to the bridge, you need to go to this elevator. And if you don't like the elevator, you can just simply climb the ladder. This elevator need to be careful. Make sure you're stepping a little bit closer to the panel before you press the button. If not, I don't know what will happen if your character is just being clipped between the elevator and this floor. Okay, so right here is a toilet. And you don't come up with toilet paper. Oh, it's a toilet paper. Yeah. Okay. And it's a creepy mirror that you can't really see yourself. Or the door. And you got a locker in here. So let's move on. And these are the beds. This is a captain's room, which you can use this bed to lock out and lock back in. But I won't recommend people to do that, even though the ship will still be there once you lock out and lock back in. But sometimes you may find yourself floating in the space after you lock back in. So I usually won't recommend people to do that. And you got a locker in here as well. Over there is a crew quarter, which got 2 crew members with you. So in total, you got 3 people to control the ship. And these are the lockers as well. So over here is a habitation area for you to hang out and also cook and drink. Of course, not cooking. It's simply access to food and drinks to help your crew members, your friends, or yourself to stay inside of the game for a longer period of time. But currently, these are not accessible, so yeah, just leave it there. And you got a very big hologram in here, which is not useful currently. So let's get to the bridge. For the bridge, you got 3 chairs. The right hand side in here and left hand side are the co-pilot seats. So over here you can help your captain or pilot to fire the missiles, managing the power output, and also access to the remote turret that is right at the back of the ship. I should say like nearly the top of the ship as well. So you can cover most part of the upper part of the ship, except for the direct front. And you can see someone is playing around over there, which wants to blast it, but never mind. So let's get to another co-pilot seat. And this co-pilot seat got the same functions, and the remote turret will be at the bottom of the ship, which can cover most part of the bottom part of the ship. So let's get to the pilot seat, which is the captain's seat as well. So, as a pathfinder or large ship or maybe non-combat it's not a combat ship after all. Yeah, so this kind of view is acceptable. But if you talk about like whether it's good for you to use this first-person mode to fly around and also land on some places, I would say not really, as part of the ship is blocking your view. So compared to the Constellation series of ships, the view is not as good as it. Okay, so the 400i is not as good as the Constellation if you talk about the view. But anyway, you got two size 3 laser repeaters, as I said, which you can change them into two size 4 fixed weapons, of course. And of course, you got like 32 missiles in total that can be fired by your pilots. So this ship, for me, I would say is quite good. I mean, not really talk about combat, but if you really talk about just simply flying around, this ship is not a bad ship, because especially in the atmosphere, this ship can fly very fast, more agile compared to the Constellation series of ships. But just the part of the hull is blocking your view, so you may want to fly the ship, land your ship with third-person mode. And the weaponries will be obviously weaker than the Constellation series of ships, even though you got 6 size 3 guns in total, because the pilots can only access to 2 of those guns, which if your ship is piloted by yourself only, you can't really do much damage to the enemy compared to the Constellation series of ships, as the Constellation can let you to access to all of those weapons, including missiles, by the pilots only. Yes, so one man can crew everything on board of the Constellations, but not for this 400i. And talk about cargo capacity, the 400i got 42 SC of cargo space, which I mentioned before already. But for the Constellation, at least they can house 96 SC of cargo space. And the cargo bay would be much more bigger than the 400i, as the 400i can barely house the mining rock inside of it. But for the Constellations, they can house the Rock DS, the bigger version of the rock mining vehicle, or maybe they can house a Ursa rover inside of it, which is larger than the mining rock. So for the cargo capacity, that part, still 400i would be, kind of defeated by the Constellation series of ships. But what kind of thing this ship is good though, for me, is about the feeling of home, because this ship is literally like a moving house. So it doesn't feel like you're flying the ship for the job, but because you're flying the ship as this ship is a house. So after you've done every missions, you go back to the ship itself, you just like go back to home. Meanwhile, if you talk about the Constellation series ships, if you go back to the ship after the mission, it seems like you are trying to fly the ship go back home, which is different feeling. The feeling is different. So maybe this kind of reason that makes this 400i being famous by, people like it, okay? Just simply because of this reason. Me too, I like this ship quite a bit, but, well, if you really talk about whether I would spend money to buy this ship at the very first beginning, then I would say not quite. Maybe I would save up for other ship first before I access to this ship again after the wipe in 3.17.2. So if you talk about the real cash it costs you around 220 with war bond price. Meanwhile, 250 would be for the standalone price when they are available. And in-game, it costs you around 6.4 to 6.3 to 6.4 million in-game credits in order to get this ship. Well, as a Pathfinder, I would say this ship is quite nice, but talk about combat, I definitely don't think it is a good thing for combat in the future, especially as the hull of the ship is not supposed to withstand a lot of damage from enemy fire. Alright, so technically, these are the things that I know about the Origin 400i. And if you think that this video is kind of helpful, feel free to leave a like. And if I miss out anything, or maybe what kind of thing I can do better, or you have some suggestions, feel free to leave a comment down below. So I shall see you guys next time then. Bye bye.